Yeah, maybe that's not a good idea if you actually want to do your makeup. All I see is stars. Oh well, good enough. Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. My name is Ben and welcome to the channel. So in today's IS300 project, we're going to be tackling the map lights and the dome lights on this car. We're going to go ahead and change out all the old incandescent lights to new LED boards that I bought on Amazon. So while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and take apart the trunk lid so I can get access to the license plate lights and change those to LED too. For the factory Feston lights inside the vanity and the dome lights and everything, I'm going to use these little boards that I bought on Amazon. So I bought like a pack of 10 or 12 of these babies, and they come with these little plugs, and they got various adapters for different applications. Like this one is for our Feston bulb. It's got an adjustable spring on it, so they fit various lengths and sizes. So we'll go ahead and install that. These things also come with a little bit of double-sided tape on the back. This helps us mount it to the back of the housing, so that way it's not just floating around in there. So we'll go ahead and do those first because those are pretty easy to do. All right, so we're in here. We'll go ahead and start with this vanity since I'm sitting right here. So the easiest way is just get a little small flathead, and these all have these little spots, so you just pop these babies out and get the little bulbs out before they get heated up too much. So we'll take that one out. That's pretty easy. So we get the little adapter. This thing is a little bit smaller because the one that we took out was actually a fuse type bulb right here. So the Feston ends are a little bit skinnier versus this one, but with this compression and the spring, we should be able to squeeze it in there and then put it on. And then also, once we put the board over and put the lens on, the lens and the board are gonna put pressure on it and keep this thing back tucked in there. When you're looking in here, you'll notice that there's a metal part that's a reflector that's also a ground. So that's gonna be the black side, and then the single side that doesn't have much of the metal is gonna be the positive side. So we'll go ahead and just stick that in there. It stays pretty well right now. And then we want to make sure that it lights up. So this baby lights up. So we're going to go ahead and just tuck it in. So to get these wires tucked properly, the best way is to put this little plug up top here, just kind of wedge that in there away from everything. Tuck the wires back behind here, get the board positioned right in the middle, and then we get the lens in, be able to pop it in place. Your screwdriver just to position it in the center so you get some compression on there. That should be pretty good. I mean, that crap is bright as hell. Yeah, maybe that's not a good idea if you actually want to do your makeup. So next thing we gotta do is pop the map light right here. So you need one of these plastic thingies so you don't mar it up too much. So you just gotta tuck it in there. Yeah, it's kind of a pain to maybe, do you have to take apart this trim? So somehow this trim pops apart. Oh, there it is. To get it apart, yeah, so that thing is actually riveted in there with some plastic rivets, and it just pops around this part. So yeah, just be careful with that when you're popping it out, so you pop the trim instead of in here. This one uses one of those other adapters, which is like this guy right here. So you can see right there, that's the kind of bulb it uses. So yeah, you put it in there and you twist it and you pull it out. Push it in, pull it out. So you got that little bulb out. Go ahead and install this baby. Plug it in, just make sure it works first. Alright, it does. This thing doesn't sit that tight, so one of the things you may want to do is just bend this guy a little bit forward so it gets better contact with this guy. So now it's a solid. Yeah, with the way it is, I even need two of these things. They're not plenty bright, but it's kind of doesn't fill up much space. Yeah, I might do a double up on this guy. So we're inside now, and I decided what I'm gonna do is basically just maybe put 3 of these guys on here. This thing's gonna be extra bright. Put 3 of them on there so that it fills the little lens better. And then what I would have to do is take these guys, which I'm not gonna use, the 192s, pull these guys out of here. And I'll have these wires, then I'll just solder them to this guy right here. And that way I have 3 pigtails for 3 of these guys, and then they're almost the size of the lens, so I'm gonna peel some of this double-sided tape off, use it, and then tape it to the end so that it actually stays onto the lens, so that way I can mount that and it's gonna look good and it's gonna be extra bright. All right, so what I'm gonna do to solder these on is, first thing I want to do is guy from the pins here. It should be pretty easy. You just lift it up and pull the pegs out. What we do is take some tweezers, lift the locking pins and pull. So now that we got everything soldered up, got my nice assembly here done already, I'll go ahead and just put this baby in. Make sure that thing is nice and tight. Tuck this up. Wow. Snap this baby in. Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. You'll see everything in the car with this baby. So we'll go ahead and do this middle dome light right now. So this one should be pretty easy to pop. I think you can pop this by hand by just pulling the two sides. Right there, comes right down. And this one uses the traditional fat festoon bulb. Pull that baby out. So when I was inside soldering earlier, I decided this one I'm just gonna do a double also, just because it's got a pretty big lens. I created a double Feston adapter on here. So it stays in there nice and tight. We'll just test it before we get any further. Got that baby? So the beauty of this thing is it fits like right, for these particular ones, it fits right in this little groove here. So I'm gonna just wedge in that groove. Oh yeah. That thing is binding. So this fit pretty well as far as that groove goes. I was able to tuck the wires back up in there cleanly and just have these little edges coming out the center cap there. So this is pretty tight and it comes on bright as hell. So this is pretty badass. So we'll go ahead and put the cap back on. If I can find that thing, cap. Oh yeah, that is freaking tight. Oh man, look at this freaking daylight up in here. Oh, look at this. I turned on this front one just to test it, but man, you can see everything in this car now. I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse through getting this guy in, and then we'll go back to the trunk and get the one in the trunk, and we'll be done with the overhead lights. All right, so back here in the trunk, we got this dinky little light here that's we can just pop out. You see it doesn't really do much. So we'll go ahead and pop this guy out. Let's pop the lens out. It's got a little baby Feston in there. Let's test to make sure the polarity is right on here. The forward towards the front of the car is positive. Baby in, works. Tuck everything up. So we got this baby all tucked nice and neatly in there, with it wedged in there pretty well. So we just put the cap back on. Make sure the baby turns on and it's nice and bright. We can turn off our other light here and see how this looks in here. So it does provide better light. Not that great overall as far as illumination goes, but it is better than before. I do have two more left. that I can use for another project, like I said, for the footwell. I want to put one up here too, because on my like Sienna, I actually put one across the top here so I could have some overhead light, and I'll just wire it to the same thing over here, because this is on the actual trunk lid, so when the trunk lid closes, this thing turns off, so that's perfect for mounting another light right overhead here. I think I have a strip for that, and then I have these two for the footwells, and I might end up ordering a couple more of these, or maybe some bigger ones, and swap out the triples I used up there. But overall, happy with this illumination. So on the lift gate, to access the license plate lights, you have to drop this stinking panel here. So you got to pop all these clips out, drop this panel down so you can get behind there. And then once you get in there, you get to the 10 millimeters to take that rear garnish off. So once you take that rear garnish off, you can access the license plate lights and change the bulbs. It's a big pain in the ass the way they designed it, but that's the only way you get into there. So we're gonna pop all these clips out. This should be the same process for the sedan versus the Sport Cross, but I don't know. I've never had a sedan, so I don't know how these pop off. Everything else should just pop right off. If you guys have a Sport Cross, you know this gold right here. $8 a piece. I don't want to break anything on here just because it's an 18-year-old car, 19-year-old car now. These things get brittle. Once you're in here, just remember to get all of your leftover clips that didn't come out. And that way you can put them back in and they pop all back in. So I got all the clips out, and it looks like I only had one casualty. This one kind of broke a little bit right there, one of the clips in there. Luckily I have a million of these things in my little clip box, so I'll just replace it with one of mine. So to access the license plate light, it's pretty easy. Once you get in here, you actually just turn the thing right here and just take the bulb out from here and over here. What I'm gonna do, since this car is so old, I'm gonna go ahead and just take that out, probably vacuum out the bugs and stuff inside that light, clean this thing up a little bit, and then put it all back together. So I got that little trim off. What got me was these two little clips right here that was holding it back once I got the 4 screws out. So it's two 10 millimeters and then two 8 millimeters over here that take that off. And you got to undo the harness right here. On this side of it, you can see all the dirt and nastiness that I'm trying to clean up. And looks like I thought the last paint job was pretty good as far as removing panels. I left this trim on here with the original IBP paint, which I really want to paint this car back to IBP instead of the GGP color that it is now, but I don't know if I want to invest that much money just yet on this. But anyway, so I'm going to clean all this crap up. It's a little bit of 50-50 super clean degreaser. Cleaned up all these pieces. This thing was covered nasty right here with dirt and everything. I got most of it pretty clean. I cleaned the outside of the lens with some super clean, and then I vacuumed all the bugs and everything out. So I took the bulbs out, so I got to swap those with LED. I cleaned up that back trim from 18 years of grime and dust that accumulated on this thing, so this is pretty much clean now. And then this top panel was just covered with dirt and dust from being up here, so I cleaned that all out, so we're good here. I'm gonna go ahead and change the bulbs, put everything back together. Pull these guys out, put in the new LEDs. Before I even put them in here, I'm gonna test them on the car just to make sure they light up and that the correct polarity looks good. One of the things you want to make sure is that the bulb sits nice and firmly inside that socket. If it doesn't, go ahead and bend those little tabs out so it holds it better. So lights up pretty well, good enough. I didn't want it too bright, just good enough to light up and be legal. Hey guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video on changing all the dash lights on my IS300. If you guys found this video useful, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to your channel already, go ahead and subscribe to your channel. I post like weekly on my DIY projects on both my ISs that I have in the garage here and my Sienna and anything else I'm doing around the house. And if you guys find any of this stuff useful, check out all my videos. If you have questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer as much as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.